On today's episode of Let's Talk About It, we're discussing backups. Not that kind of backup, James. So when you have clients that are on the road all the time, maybe the type of client like a realtor, somebody, a salesperson that's out doing quotes, they've got a laptop that they have with them all the time. What do you do to back that up?
You know what? I use basic backups. We'll call it that. I feel it's important that we have a software that does the actual backup, and I don't want it to be automated. I don't want it to be a manual intervention. If the person has to do the copying of the data to their disk themselves, probably there's two things, right? You got to remember to do this. You got to do it frequency, like how often should you do backups? I'd prefer to see a proper backup software on there to do that. And then, what are the other things that matter about that? Frequency, we talked about frequency.
Yeah, so how often would you run that type of backup? And does it matter to different individuals or?
Well, that's the thing, right? So if they're working on that laptop all the time, how are you supposed to disturb them while you do the backup of whatever it is they're working on? Very difficult. So typically that stuff would be set up to run maybe 11 o'clock at night or after the end of the workday. So this could present a problem, couldn't it?
What if the person is out and about or the laptop isn't on? How do you account for that?
Yeah, that's it. So it brings me kind of to the next point of what is the plan for backing up your data? What is the plan for protecting that laptop?
So you're saying that everyone needs an actual plan. It's not just a matter of backing it up.
Yeah.
Are you looking for your plan?
I'm looking for my backup plan for sure. Yeah. So what types of software do you think we should use for this type of scenario?
I think there's a lot of different ones out there that you can
Some
use,
good ones.
and I think just like you said, the key points are that it's scheduled, so you don't have to touch it. I think
automated, right? Automated. It runs on its own.
Very much so. The other thing, I think it needs to let you know through alerting means, was the backup actually
Did it fail? Did it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all the time, we see a backup has failed. Somebody thinks it's run, but it's failed.
Yeah.
So that's another important part of it, is to ensure that there's some sort of alerting mechanism that lets the person know it's been a successful backup.
Typically your IT guys, right? How many times have you been given a backup disk? Can you restore some stuff that I lost? And you get into it and the data's not good, or it's not from the date they thought it was. Maybe it's from 6 months ago. I've had that happen a lot, and that's a real pain. What else matters? When we want to restore data, how quickly can we do that?
And that's a very good point, because it really depends, number one, on the frequency of those backups. So are you backing up every day? Are you backing up every week? And any of those might be okay to you, but you have to realize that at whatever interval you back up at, if you back up weekly, for instance, and you have to go back a week to get your data, then you've lost a week's work.
Is that okay?
Right.
Can you survive with being a week behind, kind of thing?
And it could be for some people. It might be.
Yeah.
I think most people are used to backing up on a more daily basis.
Well, if they're a one-person shop, if they're the road warrior that's doing everything on their own, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to lose anything from 24 hours ago, 48 hours. Like, they're going to need things pretty up to date. Imagine all your accounting you did on Saturday. Now you're Wednesday and your hard drive crashes and you haven't done any more.
Right.
So things like that I think matter. So that kind of brings us into our next topic, which we'll be talking about next time, which would be more, what do we call it? The DR, disaster recovery.
Right. So it focuses on disaster recovery and business continuity. So keeping you running at all times and ensuring you don't have any downtime.
Yeah. So I guess the gist of this is that, a basic backup's fine. For sure, you're going to take all your important data, your Word and Excel files, your Sage 50 database, whatever it might be. You're going to put it somewhere else in case. But it's not really, if a hard drive failed or if someone stole your laptop, unfortunately, it doesn't put you in a position where you can get everything back quickly, right?
Right. What do you do, by the way, on if you're backing up to, for instance, you back up to an external hard drive, and you do that daily, and maybe you store it in your office.
Yeah,
and
I
you
think I
have
know
a
where you're
fire.
going, right? You left it in your car and it's sitting
Right.
on the dash and the sun fries it or something.
Right. So now what do you do?
That's actually a really
how do you
good point.
account for something like that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So what I usually try to do is I attach like a cloud component to it. So I'll tell them that, for X amount per data, depends on the size of the data, we can back up all your stuff to the cloud. Now, most of the better softwares will do that. It's kind of built in. So, you're installing the software, you're setting a frequency of when it's going to do its backups. You set up the alerts to send emails, hopefully to us, and then the other thing is the cloud component. So typically that's going to run at night. So that brings us to a point about internet, right? Your internet connection is going to have to be pretty decent. But the point of having a cloud component, I think, is important in the sense that, God forbid, something gets low. What if the laptop is stolen? At least we have that data in the cloud that we can put it back to the new machine once you get it. So that's a really good point.
So you've got a backup essentially in two places then. You have one a local backup and a cloud-based backup.
Yeah.
So if you lose one, you have the other.
That would let me sleep better at night. I don't know if I want to trust these little USB disks. I think you've all seen them. They're roughly this size, these little USB external drives. We can do a shameless plug for Western Digital. Their little passport devices are fantastic, good size, not very expensive. They work well. But do we really want to count on them for really critical stuff? That,
Right.
I
What
can't
if it
lose
fails?
I can't lose this. Yeah, my hard drive failed. Someone took my laptop. I forgot it in the train station. We had a customer.
Did you do that? You did that?
I haven't done it myself, but I've had a customer that literally lost his machine. So I think it's important that people understand the difference between a basic backup and what we'll be talking about next time, which would be more of a disaster recovery. What do we do if, God forbid, we've lost the machine and we need all that stuff back really quickly,
Thanks for joining us today, and make sure you tune in next time when we'll be discussing disaster recovery and business continuity.